The check trembled in 24-year-old waitress Amanda Parker's hands as she read the handwritten note below Dave Grohl's signature. Tears streamed down her face in the empty break room of Murphy's Diner, her emotional walls finally crumbling after months of silent struggle. What this rock legend had written would change everything she thought she knew about hope, kindness, and the power of being truly seen by a stranger who cared enough to notice her pain and respond with extraordinary compassion. The story really begins 12 hours earlier when Amanda Parker clocked in for what she thought would be just another grueling double shift at Murphy's Diner. The Tuesday evening crowd at Murphy's Diner had been unusually slow, giving Amanda too much time to think about the eviction notice crumpled in her apron pocket. 3 days to find $800 or lose the tiny apartment she shared with her 6-year-old daughter, Emma. Amanda had been working double shifts for 3 weeks straight, trying to catch up on rent after missing work when Emma caught pneumonia. The medical bills from the emergency room visit had wiped out their savings, and her ex-husband's child support payments had stopped coming months ago. At 24, Amanda felt like she was drowning in responsibilities that seemed impossible to manage alone. The evening had started like any other, with Amanda tying her blonde hair back in a neat ponytail and forcing a smile despite the exhaustion that had become her constant companion. Her manager, Dale, had already made it clear that her recent absences for Emma's illness put her job in jeopardy. One more missed shift would mean unemployment on top of homelessness. Murphy's Diner wasn't much to look at: cracked vinyl booths, flickering fluorescent lights, and a coffee machine that made questionable noises. But it had been Amanda's lifeline since Emma was born. The tips weren't great, but the flexible schedule allowed her to work around her daughter's needs. Now, even that small stability was threatening to disappear like everything else in her life. Around 8:30, a man in a baseball cap and worn jeans slid into booth 7, keeping his head down as he studied the laminated menu. Amanda approached with her practiced server smile, notepad ready, not immediately recognizing the bearded customer who seemed determined to blend into the diner's unremarkable atmosphere. His gentle demeanor put her at ease despite her stress. "What can I get you tonight?" Amanda asked, her voice carrying the professional friendliness she'd perfected, despite feeling anything but friendly toward life lately. The man looked up with kind eyes and ordered coffee, meatloaf, and mashed potatoes, comfort food that suggested he understood the appeal of places like Murphy's. His smile was genuinely warm, not the forced politeness she usually encountered from customers. As Amanda poured his coffee, she noticed how he seemed to really listen when she asked about cream and sugar, making eye contact and thanking her by name after reading her badge. Most customers treated servers like furniture, but this man seemed to actually see her as a person. The simple courtesy felt foreign after months of feeling invisible to everyone except Emma. Dave Grohl had come to Murphy's Diner specifically seeking anonymity after a long day of recording sessions that had left him emotionally drained. The music industry's demands had been particularly intense lately, and he needed somewhere quiet to think and reset. The unassuming diner seemed perfect for disappearing into his thoughts while enjoying simple food that reminded him of his childhood. What Dave hadn't expected was to find himself noticing the subtle signs of struggle in his young waitress. The way she rubbed her lower back when she thought no one was looking, the practiced smile that didn't quite reach her tired eyes, the careful way she counted tips at the register. Something about her reminded him of his own mother's strength during difficult times. Amanda refilled Dave's coffee twice during his meal, each interaction brief but pleasant. She was professional without being intrusive, giving him the space he'd come seeking while ensuring he had everything he needed. Her natural kindness shone through despite whatever burden she was carrying, reminding Dave of the everyday heroes who kept the world running through quiet acts of service and dignity. As the evening wore on, Dave found himself observing Amanda's interactions with other customers. She treated everyone with equal courtesy, from the businessman complaining about his overcooked eggs to the elderly couple who needed extra time to decide what to order. Her patience never wavered, even when dealing with difficult patrons who seemed determined to make her job harder than necessary. During a lull between customers, Amanda sat at the counter doing what appeared to be homework. Her brow furrowed in concentration as she worked through problems in a textbook. Dave could see the title, Introduction to Nursing, and realized this young woman was juggling work and education on top of whatever other responsibilities filled her days. Her determination impressed him even as her exhaustion became more apparent. When Amanda stood to check on his table again, Dave noticed her wince slightly as she put weight on her left foot. Her shoes were worn thin, clearly providing little support for someone who spent hours walking on hard floors. She moved with the careful efficiency of someone accustomed to working through pain, another sign of the quiet strength that seemed to define her character. "How are your classes going?" Dave asked when Amanda came to refill his coffee, nodding toward her textbook. Her face lit up with the first genuine smile he'd seen from her all evening. "It's tough balancing everything, but nursing has always been my dream," she replied. "I want to help people, and I want my daughter to see that education can change our lives." The mention of her daughter added another layer to Dave's understanding of Amanda's situation. A single mother working her way through nursing school while serving tables at night, the challenge seemed almost insurmountable. Yet here she was, studying between customers and maintaining professional grace despite whatever pressures she faced. Her resilience reminded him of the strength required to pursue dreams against difficult odds. As other customers came and went, Dave continued observing Amanda's work ethic and attitude. She never complained, never let her smile falter, never treated anyone with less than complete respect. When a customer left without tipping after a large order, she simply cleaned the table and moved on without comment. Her grace under pressure spoke volumes about her character. Around 10 o'clock, the diner had mostly emptied, except for Dave and two other late-night diners. Amanda began her closing duties, wiping down tables and refilling condiment bottles with practiced efficiency. Despite her obvious fatigue, she maintained the same careful attention to detail that had characterized her service throughout the evening. Her work ethic was clearly impeccable, regardless of circumstances. Dave noticed Amanda answer a brief phone call during her cleaning routine, her voice becoming tense as she spoke in hushed tones. When she hung up, she sat down heavily at the counter and put her head in her hands for just a moment before composing herself and returning to work. The call had clearly brought bad news, adding to whatever burden she already carried. The weight of Amanda's struggles was becoming clearer to Dave, even without knowing the specific details. Her dedication to her job, her education, her professional demeanor, despite personal stress, all of it painted a picture of someone fighting hard to build a better life while facing obstacles that would defeat many people. Her quiet courage was both inspiring and heartbreaking to witness. As Dave finished his meal, he found himself thinking about his own journey in music, the people who had believed in him when success seemed impossible, the moments when unexpected kindness had made all the difference. Looking at Amanda, he saw someone deserving of the same support and encouragement that had helped him through his own difficult times. The other customers left, leaving Dave alone in the diner with Amanda, who was cleaning the last few tables before her shift ended. She moved with the careful precision of someone whose body was tired but whose spirit refused to quit. Every action was deliberate and thorough, reflecting the pride she took in her work despite the circumstances that made it necessary. When Amanda brought Dave his check, she seemed more tired than when her shift had started, but her professional courtesy never wavered. "Thank you for coming in tonight," she said sincerely. "Is there anything else I can get you?" Her genuine care for customer satisfaction remained evident even at the end of a long day that had clearly tested her limits. Dave looked at the check, $12.50 for a simple meal that had provided exactly the comfort and anonymity he'd sought. But more than that, he'd witnessed something meaningful in Amanda's quiet strength and dignity. Her service had been about more than food. It had been a reminder of the grace that exists in everyday encounters when people choose to care about their work and each other. As Dave pulled out his wallet to pay, he thought about the nursing textbook on the counter, the phone call that had upset Amanda, the worn shoes she'd been standing in for hours. He thought about his own daughter and what he'd want someone to do if she were struggling to build a better life while raising a child alone. The decision came easily. Dave placed cash on the table and began writing on the receipt, his pen moving steadily across the small space as he crafted words he hoped would provide encouragement and practical help. The message wasn't just about money, it was about recognition, about seeing worth in someone who might be feeling invisible, about believing in dreams that seemed too difficult to achieve alone. After signing his name, Dave left the diner quietly while Amanda was in the kitchen helping with final cleanup. He didn't want recognition or gratitude. He wanted his gesture to be about Amanda, not about him. The anonymity he'd sought all evening extended to his act of kindness, letting the focus remain where it belonged, on someone deserving of support and encouragement. Amanda discovered the receipt 20 minutes later while processing the night's payments. Her first glance caught the tip amount, $200 on a $12 meal, and she assumed it was a mistake. Customers sometimes misplaced decimal points, and she'd have to track down the bearded man to correct the error. But then she saw the note written below his signature. The handwriting was clear and deliberate. "Amanda, your kindness tonight reminded me that angels work in diners too. Keep pursuing your nursing dream. The world needs people like you caring for others. This is for your education, your daughter, and your beautiful spirit. You're going to change lives. Dave Grohl." The words hit her like a physical force, their meaning almost too much to process. Amanda stared at the signature, her mind slowly connecting the name to the face of the quiet customer who had been so kind throughout the evening. Dave Grohl, the rock star whose music had gotten her through some of her darkest moments, had been sitting in booth 7 all night, and he'd seen something in her worth acknowledging and supporting in an extraordinary way. The tears came suddenly and completely, months of suppressed emotion flooding out as Amanda processed what had just happened. The money would solve her immediate crisis, rent, bills, textbooks for next semester, but the words meant even more. Someone had seen her struggle, recognized her effort, and believed in her dreams when she'd almost stopped believing in them herself. Amanda sat in the empty diner, the receipt clutched in her trembling hands, crying for the first time in months. They weren't tears of despair, but of relief, gratitude, and renewed hope. In her darkest moment, when eviction and failure seemed certain, a stranger had appeared with exactly the encouragement and help she needed to keep going. The note's reference to her beautiful spirit struck particularly deep because Amanda hadn't felt beautiful or spiritual in so long. She'd felt like she was barely surviving, making mistake after mistake, failing Emma and herself. Dave's words reminded her that others could see qualities in her that she'd forgotten she possessed. The recognition restored something precious that struggle had almost stolen. Amanda's phone buzzed with a text from her babysitter asking about pickup time, reminding her that Emma was waiting at home. For the first time in weeks, Amanda felt excited to see her daughter, eager to share good news instead of having to explain why they might need to move again. The prospect of stability, of being able to focus on school without panic about basic survival, felt like a miracle. Dale found Amanda in the break room, tears still streaming down her face as she clutched the receipt. "Everything okay out here?" he asked with genuine concern. Amanda showed him the note and tip, watching his expression change from worry to amazement. "Well, I'll be damned," he said quietly. "Looks like you've got a guardian angel in the rock and roll business." Word of Dave's gesture spread quickly among the diner staff who came in for the morning shift. Amanda's coworkers had watched her struggle for months, covering her shifts when Emma was sick, offering support however they could. Seeing her receive such unexpected help filled them with joy for someone they'd come to care about as family. The $200 tip covered Amanda's immediate rent crisis with money left over for Emma's school supplies and Amanda's nursing textbooks for the next semester. But beyond the practical impact, Dave's note had restored her confidence in her path. Someone successful and respected believed she could achieve her dreams, and that belief gave her strength to keep pursuing them. Amanda kept Dave's note in her nursing textbook, reading it whenever school became overwhelming or exhaustion threatened to derail her determination. The words served as a reminder that her struggles were visible to others, that her efforts mattered, and that the dreams she was fighting for were achievable. His belief in her became fuel for her own belief in herself. 3 months later, Amanda had maintained perfect attendance in her nursing classes, her grades improving as financial stress decreased and she could focus more energy on studying. The stability Dave's gift had provided allowed her to excel academically, proving that sometimes people just need breathing room to show their true potential. Her professors noticed her dedication and natural aptitude for patient care. Emma, now 7, understood that something wonderful had happened that night at the diner, though Amanda kept the details age-appropriate. What mattered was that Mommy was less stressed, more hopeful, and able to spend quality time helping with homework instead of constantly worrying about bills. The child's relief at having a happier mother was evident in her improved behavior at school. Amanda's story spread through Murphy's Diner and into the surrounding community, inspiring other acts of kindness and recognition. Customers began treating servers with more respect, understanding that everyone had stories and struggles deserving of dignity. Dave's gesture had created ripples of compassion that extended far beyond his original intention, proving how individual acts of kindness could transform entire communities. 6 months after that life-changing night, Amanda received a scholarship for nursing students from a local foundation that had heard her story. The committee was impressed by her academic improvement, her dedication to her studies, and the recommendation letters from professors who praised her natural empathy and clinical skills. Dave's initial investment in her dreams was multiplying through others' recognition of her potential. The scholarship meant Amanda could reduce her hours at the diner and focus more completely on her education, something that had seemed impossible before Dave's intervention. Her clinical rotations began receiving praise from supervising nurses who noted her genuine care for patients and her ability to remain calm under pressure, qualities she developed through years of serving difficult customers with grace. Amanda often thought about Dave during her patient care rotations, remembering how he'd treated her with such kindness and respect. Those memories influenced her own interactions with patients, reminding her to see the person behind the illness, to offer dignity along with medical care. His example of recognition and compassion had become part of her nursing philosophy. 1 year after the night that changed everything, Amanda was working her final shift at Murphy's Diner before graduating nursing school. Dale had thrown a small celebration, with regular customers and coworkers gathering to congratulate her on achieving the dream that had once seemed impossible. The same booth where Dave had sat was decorated with flowers and cards of encouragement. During the celebration, Amanda shared the story of Dave's kindness with the gathered crowd, reading his note aloud for the first time since that emotional night. Many people wiped away tears as she described how his recognition and support had provided exactly what she needed to keep pursuing her education. His belief in her had become the foundation for her own success. A local newspaper reporter attending the celebration asked to interview Amanda about her journey from struggling single mother to registered nurse. She agreed, hoping her story might inspire other people facing similar challenges to persist in pursuing their dreams. The article, titled "From Diner to Diploma," highlighted how individual acts of kindness could change lives in profound and lasting ways. The newspaper article caught the attention of nursing school administrators who invited Amanda to speak at graduation ceremonies about perseverance and the importance of seeing dignity in all people. Her story resonated with new nurses entering a profession built on caring for others, reminding them that their own experiences with struggle and kindness would inform their patient care. Amanda graduated summa cum laude from nursing school, with Emma proudly watching from the audience as her mother received her degree. During her valedictorian speech, Amanda credited the support of many people, including a stranger who saw something in me worth believing in when I'd almost stopped believing in myself. The reference to Dave's kindness drew applause from the graduating class. After graduation, Amanda was offered a position in the pediatric unit of the city's children's hospital, where her natural empathy and understanding of family struggles made her particularly effective with young patients and their worried parents. Her own experience as a single mother helped her connect with families facing medical crises while managing other life pressures. Amanda's first patient as a registered nurse was a 6-year-old girl whose single father worked multiple jobs to pay for her treatment. Amanda recognized the familiar signs of exhaustion and worry in the father's face, remembering her own struggles when Emma had been hospitalized. She made sure to treat him with extra kindness, understanding how much dignity meant to someone feeling powerless. The interaction with her first patient's family reinforced Amanda's understanding of how Dave's gesture had changed not just her life, but the lives of everyone she would now serve as a nurse. His kindness had created a ripple effect that would extend through her entire career, influencing how she treated thousands of patients and families who needed both medical care and human compassion. 2 years into her nursing career, Amanda had established herself as one of the most compassionate and skilled nurses in the pediatric unit. Parents specifically requested her for their children's care, and colleagues sought her advice on difficult cases. Her reputation for seeing patients as whole people, rather than just medical cases, made her a natural leader among the nursing staff. Amanda kept Dave's original note framed on her desk at the hospital, where it served as a daily reminder of the power of recognition and kindness. Colleagues often asked about the note, and Amanda would share the story of how a stranger's belief in her dreams had made her nursing career possible. The tale inspired many of her coworkers to look for opportunities to encourage and support others. During one particularly difficult shift, Amanda was caring for a young patient whose family couldn't afford to stay in the hospital's nearby lodging. Remembering her own financial struggles, Amanda quietly arranged for the family to receive assistance through a hospital fund, ensuring they could remain close to their child during treatment. Her own experience with unexpected kindness had taught her to look for opportunities to help others. The hospital's administration noticed Amanda's exceptional patient satisfaction scores and her colleagues' respect for her leadership abilities. They offered her a position in nursing education where she could train new nurses while continuing to work with patients. The role would allow her to multiply her impact by teaching others the importance of treating patients with dignity and compassion. Amanda accepted the education position and began developing a training program called Seeing the Person, which taught new nurses to recognize the humanity in every patient interaction. The curriculum emphasized that healing involved more than medical procedures. It required seeing people as individuals worthy of respect and kindness. Dave's example of recognition had become a teaching tool for the next generation of caregivers. The training program gained recognition throughout the hospital system and was eventually adopted by nursing schools across the region. Amanda's personal story of being seen and valued by a stranger had become a cornerstone of professional nursing education, teaching thousands of students that their role extended beyond clinical skills to include human dignity and compassion. 3 years after receiving Dave's note, Amanda was invited to speak at a national nursing conference about patient dignity and the importance of recognition in healthcare settings. Her presentation, titled Angels in Scrubs, drew standing ovations as she shared how her own experience with unexpected kindness had shaped her approach to patient care and nursing education. Following the conference, Amanda received messages from nurses across the country who had been inspired by her story and wanted to implement similar recognition-based training programs in their own hospitals. Dave's single act of kindness was now influencing healthcare culture on a national level, proving how individual compassion could create systemic change in how professionals treated patients and families. Amanda's speaking engagements led to opportunities to consult with hospitals on patient experience improvement, helping healthcare systems understand that medical outcomes improved when patients felt seen and valued as individuals. Her expertise in recognition and dignity had evolved from personal experience into professional specialization, making her a sought-after consultant in healthcare circles. Emma, now 10 years old, understood more about the night that had changed their lives and felt proud of her mother's achievements. Amanda had kept Dave's note, explaining how a kind stranger had believed in their family when things seemed hopeless. Emma learned from the story that people could choose to help others, and that accepting help gracefully was also important. On the 4th anniversary of receiving Dave's note, Amanda returned to Murphy's Diner with Emma for a celebratory dinner. Dale, still managing the restaurant, greeted them warmly and seated them in booth 7, the same spot where Dave had sat that transformative night. The diner looked the same, but Amanda's life had been completely transformed by what had happened there. During their anniversary dinner, Amanda shared with Emma the full story of that night, reading Dave's note aloud and explaining how his kindness had made their current life possible. Emma listened with wide eyes, understanding for the first time how close they had come to losing their apartment and how a stranger's generosity had changed everything. The story became part of their family history. After dinner, Amanda and Emma walked to the children's hospital, where Amanda worked, showing her daughter the pediatric unit where she cared for sick children every day. "This is what Mr. Dave's kindness made possible," Amanda explained. "Now I get to help other families like he helped us." Emma beamed with pride at her mother's important work. That evening, Amanda wrote a letter to Dave, thanking him again for his kindness and updating him on how his gesture had continued to create positive changes in her life and career. She included photos of her graduation, her nursing award, and Emma's latest school achievements. The letter expressed gratitude not just for the money, but for the recognition that had restored her hope. Amanda sent the letter through Dave's management company, not expecting a response, but wanting him to know the full impact of his kindness. She included copies of articles about her nursing work and training program, showing how his belief in her dreams had multiplied into benefits for thousands of patients and nursing students. The ripple effects continued to expand. 2 weeks later, Amanda received a response from Dave expressing his joy at hearing about her success and his pride in how she had used his support to help others. His letter emphasized that her achievements were the result of her own hard work and determination. He had simply provided an opportunity for her existing strength and compassion to flourish. The exchange deepened their connection across the years. Dave's response included an invitation for Amanda and Emma to attend a concert when his tour came to their city, acknowledging that he would be honored to meet the nurse who had turned his small gesture into a lifetime of service to others. The invitation represented full-circle recognition, from stranger to supporter to mutual admiration between two people committed to helping others. At the concert, Dave introduced Amanda to the audience as a true hero who proves that kindness multiplies when it lands in the right heart. He shared her story of perseverance and service, emphasizing how ordinary people doing extraordinary work deserved recognition and support. The crowd's standing ovation made Amanda realize how many people were inspired by stories of overcoming obstacles through determination and community support. Backstage after the concert, Dave and Amanda had a chance to talk about how their brief encounter had created lasting changes in both their lives. Dave explained that meeting her had reminded him to look for opportunities to support people pursuing meaningful dreams, while Amanda shared how his recognition had taught her to see dignity in every patient interaction. Their mutual influence had enriched both their approaches to helping others. The concert meeting led to an ongoing friendship between Dave and Amanda's family, with occasional messages exchanged about their respective work and Emma's progress in school. Their relationship had evolved from a moment of crisis and kindness into a lasting connection based on shared values of service, recognition, and the importance of believing in people's potential to overcome obstacles and achieve their dreams. 5 years after the original encounter, Amanda was promoted to Director of Nursing Education for the hospital system, overseeing training programs for hundreds of nurses annually. Her Seeing the Person curriculum had become standard training throughout the region, ensuring that Dave's original message about recognizing dignity in others was now being taught to every new nurse entering the profession. Amanda's promotion allowed her to expand her influence beyond individual patient care to systemic improvements in how healthcare providers treated patients and families. Her leadership style, influenced by Dave's example of recognizing potential in others, emphasized supporting staff members' professional development while maintaining focus on compassionate patient care. The ripple effects of recognition continued to multiply through her work. Emma, now 13, had decided she wanted to follow her mother's example by pursuing a career in healthcare, inspired by the story of how kindness had transformed their family's trajectory. Amanda supported her daughter's dreams while emphasizing that success required both accepting help gracefully and extending kindness to others. The lessons from Dave's note had become family values passed to the next generation. Amanda's national reputation as an expert in patient dignity and nursing education led to her appointment to advisory committees for medical organizations and nursing schools. Her insights about the connection between recognition, dignity, and patient outcomes influenced policy recommendations for healthcare systems nationwide. Dave's simple act of seeing her worth had evolved into institutional changes affecting millions of patients. The training programs Amanda developed were translated into multiple languages and implemented internationally, spreading the message about recognition and dignity in healthcare settings around the world. Nurses in dozens of countries learned from her curriculum that healing required both clinical skills and human compassion, proving that Dave's kindness had created global impact through Amanda's dedication to teaching others. On the 10th anniversary of receiving Dave's note, Amanda was invited to deliver the keynote address at a national healthcare conference, speaking to thousands of medical professionals about the importance of seeing patients as whole people, deserving of dignity and respect. Her presentation began with the story of a waitress who nearly gave up on her dreams until a stranger reminded her of her own worth. The conference keynote was later published as an article in a major medical journal, ensuring that Amanda's message about recognition and dignity reached even more healthcare professionals. The publication included Dave's original note as an example of how individual acts of kindness could transform lives and create lasting changes in how people approached their service to others. His words had become part of medical literature. Amanda's influence continued to expand as hospitals across the country adopted her training methods and philosophy about patient care. Healthcare systems reported improved patient satisfaction scores and better staff morale when they implemented programs emphasizing recognition and dignity. The measurable benefits proved that Dave's intuition about the power of seeing and valuing others had scientific validity. Medical schools began inviting Amanda to speak to students about the importance of empathy and recognition in patient care, understanding that future doctors needed to learn these lessons alongside clinical skills. Her story of being recognized and supported during her own struggles resonated with students facing their own challenges in pursuing medical careers. The cycle of encouragement continued through new generations of healthcare providers. Emma graduated high school with honors and received scholarships to pursue nursing education, following her mother's path, but bringing her own unique perspective to healthcare service. Amanda watched with pride as her daughter began the same journey that Dave's kindness had made possible, knowing that Emma's natural compassion would benefit countless patients in the years ahead. The legacy of recognition continued through family generations. Research studies on patient outcomes began citing Amanda's work on dignity and recognition in healthcare settings, providing scientific evidence for what Dave had intuitively understood, that being seen and valued as a person was essential for healing and hope. Her documentation of improved patient satisfaction and clinical outcomes when staff treated people with recognition and respect validated the importance of human dignity in medical care. Amanda's consulting work expanded to include healthcare systems in other countries, where she helped implement training programs adapted to different cultural contexts, but maintaining the core message about recognition and dignity. Her international influence meant that Dave's original insight about seeing people's worth was now affecting patient care on multiple continents, proving the universal relevance of human recognition. The Children's Hospital where Amanda worked established the Dave Grohl Recognition Award for staff members who exemplified exceptional compassion and dignity in patient care. The annual award included Amanda's story and Dave's original note, ensuring that future healthcare providers would understand the connection between individual kindness and systemic excellence in patient service. His influence had become institutionalized within the organization. Amanda's memoir about her journey from struggling waitress to nursing leader became a bestseller, inspiring readers facing their own obstacles to persist in pursuing their dreams. The book emphasized that while individual acts of kindness could provide crucial support, lasting change required the recipient's own determination and hard work. Dave's gesture had been a catalyst, but Amanda's achievements were the result of her own character and effort. The memoir's success led to a movie adaptation that brought Amanda's story to an even wider audience, demonstrating how recognition and support could transform lives when combined with personal determination. Dave served as an executive producer for the film, ensuring that the message about everyday heroism and the power of believing in others reached millions of viewers worldwide. Amanda established a foundation, providing scholarships for single parents pursuing healthcare careers, creating systematic support for people facing similar challenges to those she had overcome. The foundation's motto, adapted from Dave's original note, emphasized that the world needs people like you caring for others. His words had become a rallying cry for supporting potential caregivers through their educational journeys. 15 years after receiving Dave's note, Amanda was appointed to a prestigious position as Chief Nursing Officer for a major medical center, overseeing patient care standards for thousands of patients annually. Her leadership philosophy, built on recognition and dignity, had proven effective in creating environments where both patients and staff thrived. Dave's influence continued to multiply through her expanding sphere of responsibility. The most unexpected development came when Amanda was contacted by researchers studying the long-term impact of individual acts of kindness on recipients' life trajectories. Her documented transformation from struggling single mother to healthcare leader had become a case study in how recognition and support could unleash human potential. Dave's gesture was now being analyzed as a model for effective intervention in people's lives. The research revealed that Amanda's story was part of a broader pattern where individual acts of recognition at crucial moments could create lasting positive changes in recipients' lives and careers. Her experience provided evidence that seeing and believing in people's potential, combined with practical support, could help individuals overcome significant obstacles and achieve dreams that seemed impossible. The study validated Dave's intuitive understanding of human dignity. Based on the research findings, Amanda was invited to advise government programs designed to support single parents and struggling students, bringing her expertise about effective recognition and encouragement to policy development. Her insights helped shape assistance programs that emphasized dignity and potential alongside financial support, ensuring that recipients felt valued as individuals rather than simply cases requiring help. The policy work expanded Amanda's influence beyond healthcare into social services, education, and community development programs that adopted her principles about recognition and human dignity. Dave's original message about seeing people's worth had evolved into systematic approaches for supporting individuals facing various life challenges. His kindness had become a template for effective social intervention. Amanda's speaking engagements increasingly focused on the broader implications of recognition and dignity in all human interactions, not just healthcare settings. Audiences, including business leaders, educators, and community organizers, learned from her experience that seeing and valuing others was essential for creating environments where people could thrive. Dave's lesson about human worth had universal applications. 20 years after the night that changed everything, Amanda returned to Murphy's Diner for a documentary about her life and career. Sitting in booth 7 where Dave had recognized her worth, she reflected on how his simple act of kindness had created ripples that now affected millions of people through her work in healthcare, education, and social policy. The transformation seemed almost miraculous in scope. The documentary crew captured Amanda reading Dave's original note aloud, her voice still emotional after 2 decades, as she remembered the moment when hope had been restored through a stranger's recognition. The worn paper remained one of her most treasured possessions, a tangible reminder of how individual acts of seeing and valuing others could change the world through their recipients' subsequent service to humanity. During the documentary interview, Amanda emphasized that while Dave's kindness had been the catalyst for change, the real work had been done by countless people who had supported her journey. Professors who believed in her potential, colleagues who mentored her career development, patients who trusted her care, and family members who encouraged her dreams. Recognition worked best when it connected people to communities of support. The documentary's release coincided with Amanda's appointment to a National Commission on Healthcare Quality, where her expertise on dignity and recognition in medical settings would influence standards affecting millions of patients annually. Dave's insight about the importance of seeing people's worth had evolved into national policy through Amanda's decades of translating that message into practical applications for healthcare delivery. Emma, now a registered nurse herself, joined her mother at the documentary premiere, representing the next generation of healthcare providers influenced by Dave's original message about recognition and human dignity. The premiere event raised funds for Amanda's Scholarship Foundation, ensuring that more single parents could pursue healthcare careers with the support needed to achieve their educational goals. At the premiere, Dave surprised Amanda by attending and speaking about how their encounter had influenced his own approach to recognizing and supporting others throughout his career. He emphasized that Amanda's achievements were the result of her own determination and character. His role had simply been to see and acknowledge what was already there. Their mutual recognition had created a lasting friendship built on shared values. The documentary's success led to increased applications for Amanda's Scholarship Foundation and greater awareness of the challenges facing single parents pursuing professional careers. Dave's original gesture had evolved into a movement supporting educational access and recognizing the potential in people facing significant obstacles. The ripple effects continued to expand through new recipients of recognition and support. Amanda's influence reached its peak when she was invited to address the World Health Organization about dignity in healthcare delivery, sharing her message about recognition and human worth with an international audience of medical leaders. Her presentation included Dave's original note as evidence that individual acts of recognition could create global changes in how healthcare providers treated patients. His handwritten words had become part of international medical policy discussions. The WHO address resulted in the adoption of new guidelines emphasizing patient dignity and recognition in healthcare settings worldwide, ensuring that Dave's insight about seeing people's worth would influence medical care on every continent. Amanda's translation of his kindness into systematic training and policy had created the largest possible impact from his original gesture of recognition and support. As Amanda concluded her WHO presentation, she reflected on the extraordinary journey from a desperate night at Murphy's Diner to addressing world leaders about human dignity in healthcare. Dave's simple decision to see her worth and respond with kindness had created a cascade of positive changes affecting millions of people. The transformation proved that individual acts of recognition could literally change the world when received by someone committed to serving others. Following the WHO address, Amanda received recognition from medical organizations worldwide for her contributions to patient care and nursing education. Each award and honor traced back to that moment when Dave had seen her potential and provided the encouragement needed to pursue her dreams. His belief in her had enabled achievements that neither of them could have imagined that night at the diner. Amanda's memoir was translated into dozens of languages, spreading her story of transformation through recognition to readers around the globe. The book's consistent message, that being seen and valued as a person was essential for human flourishing, resonated across cultures and circumstances. Dave's original note had become a universal symbol of the power of individual kindness to create lasting change. The Scholarship Foundation Amanda had established grew into an international organization supporting single parents pursuing healthcare careers in developing countries, ensuring that Dave's message about recognizing potential extended to the most resource-limited settings. His kindness had evolved into systematic support for thousands of future healthcare providers who would serve the world's most vulnerable populations. Emma completed her nursing education and chose to work in underserved communities, carrying forward the lessons about recognition and dignity that had shaped her family's journey. Her career choice reflected the continuing influence of Dave's original gesture, as the next generation embraced service to others as the highest form of gratitude for the kindness they had received. As Amanda entered her 60th year, she looked back on a career that had touched millions of lives through patient care, education, policy development, and international advocacy. Every achievement traced back to a moment when a kind stranger had seen her worth and responded with recognition and support. Dave's note remained framed on her desk, a daily reminder of how individual acts of kindness could create infinite positive changes. The research documenting Amanda's transformation had influenced social policy far beyond healthcare, creating new approaches to supporting individuals facing various life challenges. Programs for struggling students, single parents, and career changers now incorporated principles of recognition and dignity that Dave had intuitively understood. His kindness had become a template for effective human intervention across multiple sectors. Dave and Amanda's friendship had evolved into a partnership supporting various charitable causes focused on recognizing and nurturing human potential. Their shared understanding of how individual kindness could create systemic change made them effective advocates for programs that saw dignity and worth in every person. Their collaboration multiplied the impact of both their individual contributions to helping others. On the 25th anniversary of receiving Dave's note, Amanda was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the International Council of Nurses, recognizing her contributions to patient care, education, and policy development worldwide. Her acceptance speech began with the story of a desperate waitress who had nearly given up on her dreams until a stranger reminded her of her own worth and potential. Today, Amanda's influence continues through the thousands of nurses she trained, the millions of patients who received better care because of her dignity-focused programs, and the countless individuals supported by her scholarship foundation. The ripple effects of Dave's recognition have created permanent positive changes in healthcare delivery, social policy, and educational support systems worldwide. Emma now leads the international expansion of her mother's foundation, ensuring that the message about recognition and human dignity reaches new generations of healthcare providers in every corner of the world. The lessons learned from Dave's kindness continue to influence how people see and support each other, creating communities where everyone's potential is recognized and nurtured. Dave's original note is now displayed in the Smithsonian Institution as part of an exhibition about individual acts of kindness that created lasting social change. The simple handwritten message has become a historical artifact, demonstrating how personal recognition and encouragement could transform not just individual lives, but entire systems of human care and support. The Murphy's Diner, where everything began, has become a pilgrimage site for people inspired by Amanda's story, with Booth 7 permanently marked as the place where recognition and kindness created world-changing impact. Visitors often sit in that booth to reflect on how they might see and support others facing challenges, continuing the cycle of recognition that Dave had initiated. Medical schools around the world now teach Amanda's story as part of their curriculum on patient dignity and the importance of seeing every person as worthy of recognition and respect. Future doctors and nurses learn that healing involves more than clinical procedures. It requires acknowledging the inherent worth of every individual they serve. Research continues to validate Amanda's teachings about the connection between recognition, dignity, and positive outcomes in healthcare, education, and social services. Her documentation of improved results when people feel seen and valued has influenced policy development worldwide, ensuring that Dave's insight about human worth becomes systematically implemented in institutions serving vulnerable populations. Have you ever had someone see your potential when you couldn't see it yourself? Have you experienced how being truly recognized and valued can transform your entire life trajectory? Amanda Parker's journey from struggling waitress to international healthcare leader reminds us that individual acts of recognition and kindness can create ripple effects that change the world, proving that sometimes angels work in diners, hospitals, and everywhere people choose to see the worth in others. Like, subscribe, and share if you believe in the power of recognition to transform lives and create lasting positive change in our communities.